Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new interview. This time I had the pleasure of talking with Ryan Schlutz. He's a magician, a creator, an author, a playing card producer, and a lover of magic. His excitement for magic, especially card magic, flew straight into me right through the camera and the computer. And it was just a pleasure to speak with him. We talked about magic, about self-working and semi-automatic card magic, playing cards, books, and much more. If you like the interview, leave us a like and subscribe so you won't miss our future interviews and future videos. But for now, please enjoy the interview with Ryan Schlutz. Hello, Ryan. Thank you very much for joining me today. How are you?
I am doing good. How are you doing yourself? Hanging in there?
I'm doing great. It's busy time here in the butterfly land, but it always is. So
I
it's
know.
nothing new.
There's some pretty cool cars there. Yeah. So I forgot what part of the world you're from again? I forget.
Prague, Czech Republic.
Prague. That's right. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful Orlando. Well, I guess it's Winter Park. Orlando is Florida. So right here. So
How's the weather?
good. It's almost hot. It's getting hot every day, a little bit harder. So it's summertime here. It can be brutal, but it's not bad. Right now, it's still bearable. So we're doing all right here.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I'm sure people watching and listening are more interested in your magic career than in a weather report. So,
I mean, debatable. They could be amateur weathermen. Who knows, man? That's their jam.
but
You never know.
they might need to tune in another time. That's
Okay,
it.
okay, fair. We'll talk some magic.
Those who know you, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that know you for your love for self-working or semi-automatic card tricks. How would you describe a semi-automatic card trick?
Yeah, I think the term that gets used a little too much, which is not, I don't think is correct. People say like self-working magic, right? Which I don't like that because that would imply that the deck's just put in your hand and you do nothing, right? Like semi-automatic. Steve Beam really nailed it because that is really what it is, right? It is semi-automatic, where you're not doing that much heavy lifting, but you're doing some, right? And I think with my magic, I mean, the extent of the sleights are going to be like holding a pinky break or doing that kind of stuff, right? But you're not doing any crazy like killing bottom placements or anything like that, right? It's like you don't need to do those kind of technical moves. I think most of my magic lives in the brain more than the actual your fingers, right? Because a lot of it's going to be illusions of the mind or misremembering things, or like that's the stuff I like to find. So for me, how I define it, it's like it's going to be 90% presentation, right, and then 10% sneaky finger movements, right? That's probably how I break it down. A 90-10 split.
What made you fall in love with these effects?
I think it was a challenge at first because I started off learning more like just hardcore moves because that's all I knew. Like my early teacher was Martin Nash, and his stuff is not easy. It's very hard stuff. And then that's all I knew. Sometimes ignorance is bliss because like if that's what it takes to learn magic, which is hard stuff, but if it's the only thing you know, then it's easy, right? It's weird because that's all you know. So you're like, well, if I want to do magic, I got to learn how to do this stuff. So you put the time and effort to learn it. And this is like my younger self, like probably like when I was like high school to college age, this is all I did was these more slight things. And then I went to my first magic convention, and I think it was Alain Choquette. He showed me a trick. He did nothing. I mean, as far as I could tell, he did nothing. Like, it was just like, it felt self-working because I was like, he did nothing. The deck was in his hand, and I swear magic happened. And I was like, what the heck is this? And he didn't tell me anything. He just let me sit in this like being so fooled. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And I remember that being that moment at the convention that I was like, I need to do this. Like, I need to know what this is. So like anybody else, I just dove into so many books. I discovered Mike Powers, his books. And, that's when I probably first came across the pencil dot, which I'm so known for today. I was like doing Mike Powers, but at the time, pencil dots, they weren't being used how I'm doing them now. I think I've altered like the purpose. I feel like most people probably poo-pooed the pencil dot. They're kind of like, stupid. I don't like this tool. And I was probably one of those people too. I definitely agree that I didn't really know the power until I started, like I would say years later. We're talking probably like a good 10, 15 years between me knowing what a pencil dot was to actually finally going, oh, I get the use of this because I'm realizing like with semi-automatic card magic, it's what makes it fooling is usually well for magicians, it's easy. What fools magicians usually is when you do something slightly different from what they know, right? And a good example is like if I go to hold a break, and this is a very known movement, right? You see that movement, and you know my finger's back there doing something sneaky, right? So with a pencil die, okay, now this say this is their selection, it goes back, you have a hand, and you do something like that, you just toss the deck on top, and then you immediately drop it. Magicians, they don't know where to go. They're like, this guy, and also they just shuffle the deck before, so they're like, okay, the deck's shuffled, it's not stacked. He just put it back, and then he just dropped the deck, and immediately they're fooled by it. They're like, okay, well, surely he's gonna like not shuffle the deck, and then you immediately shuffle the deck, and they're like, and they're done. I mean, their brain just turns off. I realize that it doesn't take much to fool a magician. You only have to fool them for like a millisecond. And once they're full, they kind of stop. They kind of go, well, he got me. And now they just watch the trick. So I forget where was I going with this story? I just started going down a rabbit hole. Where was I going with the story? So yeah, I remember that moment with the pencil dot. And then what was the original question? I forget now. I had an end to the story. Now I forget where I was going with it. What was the original question?
What made you fall in love with this type of card magic?
Oh, that's what it was. So he showed me that, started this crazy journey into discovering all these principles. And of course, some of them weren't my style today. Like a lot of them I'm realizing are, especially this less semi-automatic, more automatic, were heavily relying on stacks and counting procedures and spelling. So you learn a lot of those tricks, which are fine. They have a purpose. But a lot of times those tricks have underlying principles, right? They have underlying things that make them interesting, right? So I think it's just becoming obsessed and just doing all those styles of magic that you start to have appreciation for, like, I guess, the mathematics of this kind of world. Because math and these kind of tricks do relate a lot, right? And I think the challenge to make them interesting for me is like, okay, how do I eliminate the boring parts that, I would say, like the excessive counting, the excessive dealing, like how do you make that feel not so much that way? And I think that's how my style was born, was this challenge to take what would be kind of a boring trick and make it seem like sleight of hands, right? 'Cause I think that's what people, I mean, I get credit for sleight of hand even though I'm doing zero of it, because I think people just assume for me to accomplish the trick, I had to do something sneaky. Like I had to do something hard. It wasn't a pencil dot. It was like, oh, it was definitely a diagonal palm shift or something, right? Because people just assume I could tell just by the reaction that they think I'm doing something way harder than it looks like, right? So I think that was a fun challenge for me because it was fun. And then, once I don't know about you, but like once I did it once successfully, I think my first trick was like sensational. That really, like, had all these moments that I loved. Then I was obsessed. Then I was like, oh, okay, people love that. They were fooled by that. But okay, now how do I do it again? How do I do it again? Right. And then you just keep trying to find and just keep trying to refine this like style, if you will. So yeah, that's really, I mean, obviously it keep years of doing that, but like that's kind of where I got to where I was at least. So
You mentioned Mike Powers. Is there anybody else you looked up to?
in those early days,
Yeah.
it was probably Mike Powers was the first one I was like, just because I think he was doing similar things. But then, early mentor of mine, Jeff Pierce, which is, I don't think he published a few things not as well known in terms of like the magic world, but he's a local magician here in Orlando. But he was an early influence, and he also was into that style. So he showed me a few things that I was really interested by. Luckily, some of my early friends in magic were, Coast of Kimlet, yeah, Kimlet. He lives here. Obviously, the Roam Runner Coleman himself. Like he was doing all of that crazy stuff at the time. And also BJ Bueno, which is a maybe more underground name. I don't know if you know BJ Bueno, but he's amazing. Like he was like one of the original founders of like Theory 11 back in the day. It's like he was one of their original founders. He's now moved on. Now he does crazy marketing stuff. He kind of, I don't know, I'm sure he does magic still, but he kind of started his whole marketing business now. But he technically was amazing and smart. And so I had these guys I'm hanging out with. So like, I'm a guy just getting into magic. I know a little bit. And then imagine just like your best friends, like, are always people who are freaking like way above you. So like, it just forced me to like get good fast, right? How to get good fast. Because these guys are just so good. They're just killing me. And I just wanted so badly to just fool them once, right? So I just had to really just keep learning and trying things till finally through all that. And really that's what it was. Sometimes it's just that motivation to try to fool your friend is all it took for me to like dive in deep. But then more famous people that people probably know more about. I mean, obviously Leonard Green was a big influence on mine because just his he was the first person I saw in person, especially that had this like carefree style, right? That I found really interesting and very sloppy. And my magic is sloppy as too. And then later on, a more refined version of Leonard Green, I would say, was Joseph Barry. I really fell in love with his stuff. And then so I really liked, I saw his first release to the magic market. I was like, what the heck? This stuff is amazing. So I really love him. I think he's still kind of underground. I don't think a lot of people know Joseph Barry stuff. I don't even want to say his name out loud because I don't want people to know about him. I'm like, I don't want to not know about his stuff because it's good. It's just really good stuff. And then of course, like more like magicians of the past. Like I know I've said this in a million different places, but like Eddie Fields was a huge influence of mine. He's amazing. It's probably the only magic book that I read continuously. Like I go back to it on a regular basis because I feel like there's always something to be found in that book. I don't know. I think as you mature and your brain learns more, like you read the same thing, but then you interpret it differently, right? You find like what you found was like whatever you later on, it just aligns with, oh, wait, that just took on a whole new meaning. That little sentence I didn't quite appreciate earlier, right? And that's another thing too. I don't think people appreciate the self-working stuff until you know a lot more magic, right? Like if I go show you a pencil dot trick and you know nothing about magic, it's going to mean nothing to you because you just don't know anything. But the more you know about techniques and the more you know about methods, then it really starts to open up, right? And I see that journey. I feel like everyone does that journey. I think everyone does this like hardcore sleight of hand, and then they kind of stop somewhere in the middle between sleights and self-working. And I think that balance is always different for everybody, right? Because I think on my releases, it's way heavier towards um like as minimum as possible sleight of hand. But my real life is definitely more like if 90-10 is my DVDs and books, I would say my real life is probably more 70-30, right? Because I'm trying to like fit a challenge for the books and the releases. But for my real life, I realized, okay, I do have some skills. I can rely on them a little bit, but I still find it fun to not use them, right? Because it's just a challenge for me mentally, right? But doing some calling and all that stuff, it's just useful. It's just useful. So yeah, that's really it. Yeah, that's what long answer there. Sorry if you're listening. That was a long way to get there, but it does excite me though. I do find magic exciting. I do find card magic exciting. And the journey was a lot of fun. And that's what really motivated me. The journey was fun. Anyway, oh yeah, I had to close the story. I started with Alain Choquette fooling the crap out of me at the convention. And there was probably between that convention, that was probably 2003-ish. And then I want to say it was over 20 years later that I finally found the solution to the trick. So that felt good. So I read all of this stuff, and it wasn't until years later that I finally read a book, and then I could remember the trick, and I was like, freaking, there's the freaking answer to that. I never knew that. That trick literally fooled the crap out of me. I never forgot it. And then I finally found it written in a book somewhere. And I was like, freaking got it. Anyways, that's why I had to close the story. I started, I had to end it. I had a book in that crazy ramble there. So anyways, all right, back to you.
You mentioned something that's very common and many people associate with self-working tricks, and that's spelling and mathematical procedures.
Mhm.
And a lot of tricks, a lot of self-working tricks rely on those. How do you approach those tricks to make them exciting to the spectators?
I think that for me to make a spelling trick interesting, and I think the closest things I do now to a spelling trick would be something like my favorite card trick. That's the name of the routine. My favorite card trick. Sorry, the lucky card trick. It's out of one of what's his name? He wrote a book, Stand Up Card Magic. No, what's his name? Okay, I'll get there in a second. So, because that trick there is dealing, right? And I realize if you do have dealing in it relies so much on you to make the spectator involved in this premise. Like I have this trick where there is a lot of dealing involved, but I do mask it under the guise of like, Like I feel like for me, I don't think I could successfully do those in like a show, but I could do it successfully in like a casual environment. Because if we're talking and I'll be like, oh hey, do you have a lucky card? You know, and they're like, yeah. And I go, oh, what is it? I go, oh, they'll say like, what's your lucky card? Like, what was your lucky card?
It's the two of clubs.
See, I go, wait. See, sorry, everyone does this. Is that your lucky card or is that your favorite card?
It's my favorite and lucky card.
See, people, oh, it's your favorite and lucky? No. See, I don't. Did you choose that, or were you given that? Did you decide yourself that that's your favorite and lucky card?
It's my favorite card, and it actually helped me win a poker session one time.
Okay, so maybe. But you know what? There is a formal test that you have to take that to see that two of clubs really is your lucky card. Because I think everyone has a favorite card. Like, what's your favorite card? Oh, Queen of Hearts. What's your favorite card? The seven. What's your favorite card? Oh, you don't have one? It doesn't matter. I think everyone has a favorite card, but lucky cards, believe it or not, you can't decide. They pick you. So maybe yours is the two of clubs. But you know what? Do you want to take a test to find out if it is or not?
Yeah, sure.
And that's it. So like that premise is a lot more interesting than, hey, deal those cards. It's like boring already. But that right there, I get them bought in because I just set up this fake premise about the difference between a lucky and a favorite card and how, and everyone does the same thing. They're always like, they always name their favorite card because it sounds like lucky. But then you, oh, sorry, that's my fault. Let me tell you the difference. One you choose, one you don't choose. And that's interesting enough to get them to bite. And then I said, well, we can take a test. We got to find this out. Hey, is there a little ritual we go through? Blah, blah, blah. And there's dealing involved. So I feel like, but it gets everyone involved, which I love. And now it just makes more sense, right? So, what's funny, yours is two of clubs because so is mine, by the way. I don't know if you knew that. So, mine really is a two of clubs. That's my favorite card.
And
favorite card.
I have it tattooed on my finger.
Oh, wow. So you took it way further than me. I don't have anything there. Sorry. Or do I? No, it is my favorite card. I don't know why. It just always has been. I think two was I played sports when I was young, so two was always my number for sports. I think two, and then I just like clubs. Even though I have a spade tattooed on my foot, I like clubs better.
Why on your foot?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? I think I wanted the clubs, but I just didn't trust the person to do it well. So I was just like, just do a spade. He seemed more confident in the spade. So my tattoo, I only have one, and it was I got conned into getting it. I got tricked. So joke's on me. Oh well. The person I went with to go get the tattoo wanted that tattoo, but they wanted someone to go with them. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll get one with you. And then my guy was ready first. So they sat me down, started. Her person just took forever to get started. So by the time she walked over to see how mine was going, she's like, never mind, I'm out. And she left. And I was like, oh my God. So now I have a tattoo that had zero intention of getting, but now I have a giant one about this big on my foot. So, oh well. I don't care. At the end of the day, I didn't mind getting it there because it's not a place that would ever get seen unless you know me, like personally, right? So it's like, I'm not worried about it.
Okay. I think with the lucky card, you actually touched upon something I wanted to ask you about.
Sure.
When people hear the term self-working or semi-automatic card tricks, they might automatically assume that it's easy to do. But those familiar with these types of effects know that they aren't easy to perform, or to say it's better, they are not easy to perform well.
Yes.
What's the most challenging aspect of performing these types of effects?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I didn't realize I learned that in a different way. I learned that they're hard to perform because I would try to teach non-magician friends, oh, this is an easy trick. And only then when you go to teach somebody who doesn't do magic and doesn't have presentation and doesn't know how to reveal, like you go, oh, wow, this is actually hard. Because they're going to be almost zero sleight of hand. Literally, it's a cross-cut force, and they can't do it well. That's fooling. Because then that's when I finally had like the revelation that is so much on you to make it fooling, and that's hard. That's like essentially becoming an actor. I think semi-automatic or automatic magic, either one, it revolves so much on you to make it fooling, right? Because when they say like, that whole thing that you see in books, like, okay, have them cut the deck, put it back on top, and now have some time pass by. That part The time pass by part. That's the hard part. They just make it seem so like whatever in the book. They're like, just have some time pass by. Okay, do that. Make that not awkward where you do the cut and now they're like, just what? Just silence? No, you have to like make it interesting, right? So I don't know. That's where I realized that to make it fooling, it is so much on you. And also the interaction, like just like the lucky card thing, like it's like you're constantly making this weird world. Like you're creating this fiction of a world, and everything you say has to support that world. You're kind of building up this fake, structure around them, and you have to keep supporting it until the trick concludes, right? And then at the end, you should have this solid kind of like logic that they go, yeah, that worked, So that's probably the best way to like imagine it, right? Because if you break that illusion for a second, it's too easy to figure out. Most semi-automatic methods are paper thin in terms of foolability because if they sometimes they just have too much time to think about it. It doesn't take much, like a second to think about it. They can go, wait a second. Wait, that's a top card. They can track back. But but it also doesn't take much to have them not think that way. Like it's a second to figure it out, also a second to distract them to not even get back to it, right? So that's that fine line. That's where the presentation or even blocking, like body positioning and all this kind of stuff. Like if I want to like cut this deck, like how do I do that in a way that really just now the heat's off of it, right? How do I bring them over here? How do I have this person to my left, that person to my right? So this person does a cut, and now the deck's on the table, and now I go back to this person, and I have something of importance to say, and now we come back to the deck, right? And then, oh, now look at this for me. And now everything has this flow. And that's the hard part. And that's one of those things where I don't know how you learn it outside just doing it, right? You have to just go. Like luckily I've done a lot of restaurants, and I think that's where I learned how to have this, you're in this chaotic environment with a lot of distractions, and how do you keep these people looking at you, right? That's the secret. And I think that's where I was like, that's probably where I developed it, honestly, was now I'm like, you got me transporting my mind back to those days because just like with a lucky card where you're like engaging, I think that's so important. I think Tom Morris said it best was like his whole five string, the five, was it the five, whatever, the string
5 points
theory.
in Magic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the string theory is super important, right? Because you're right. You got the string. I think it's a good way of like imagining it in real life, right? I have all these strings connected to you. I got to keep them all tight and taut. How do okay, I'm losing this person. I go back to this person. I'm going to you. And you got all these strings going from your head to their head, and you're keeping it. It's a good way to like imagine it, right? Because it is true. How do you keep everyone engaged? And this person over here, he might see something. He might actually know the method. He might be like, hey, wait. And then you immediately go, oh yeah, we'll get back to that. Hey, we'll come back to you in a second. And now you come here. And it's funny how like this person still gets fooled because like as long as you cut them off before they say it and you acknowledge them, that's one thing you always gotta acknowledge. I don't know if this is the whole you didn't answer this question, but like I feel like that's so important. If you have a heckler, my one thing you just say to them is like, oh yeah, we'll come back to you in 1 second. That's it. That's all I gotta say. You never come back to this person, but as long as you just say it, you have to acknowledge them because then they shut up. Because they're like, okay, now I'm gonna get them. And then by the time they think to speak again, the trick's gone on. And now they're usually a 99% chance they're gonna get fooled anyways. Because they might have saw something, but enough happened, and now it's over with. Or chances are they saw nothing and they just want to say something stupid. But at that point, they feel dumb because the trick, and everyone else is entertained. They see everyone else like super into the trick. Even they are like, okay, maybe I shouldn't say something because I don't want to ruin this moment for people. All right, I'm off topic there, but you got me flowing. I shouldn't have had so much of this before this interview. So
No, that's good. That's good. That just shows your excitement for Magic and your love for Magic. So, would you say that the most difficult part about semi-automatic Magic is the performance side? You don't have to think so much about the method, but a lot about the performance.
Yeah, it really is. I think you just nailed it there. It really is. That performance, I think the easier the magic trick is, the more performance is important, right? And there's that scale, right? Yeah, I mean, sleights are good too. I find sleights never, unless they're done perfectly well, I feel like they're never as fooling as like a semi-automatic trick because if you're doing like anything, there's like a little bit of a weird movement with the deck. There's in a layman's mind, there's like, well, that's probably when it happened. I don't know what happened, but this is probably when it happened. But if you take away that weird movement, and now there's not even that weird justification. Because I'm sure everyone here has performances where they'll come up with the craziest solution. Oh, he's using like heat transfer cars. It must warm up and it transfers. I don't know. They come up with the dumbest things, but it's like, but it doesn't matter because if they think it's correct, and the tricks didn't fool them. So I try to find ways to like, so I think presentation, and you're right. That to me, that is so important. The easier trick is, I'll leave it there. The easier the trick is, the more it relies on you to make it fooling, right? That's really what it comes down to. So
What's one skill you'd recommend to every magician to learn and perfect?
one skill to really perfect. I mean, that gets us two things. I would say, like, just strict sleight wise, if you're just talking basic sleights, I mean, you can't go wrong with a good pinky break and a double lift. That will get you a long way. And one card control, just one card control. I think those three things are like the basis of pretty much all card magic. Anything past that is most likely just for other magicians or any other sleights. Those are the basic things you need to really fool people. But skill-wise, that's non-technical, it's just having the ability, the gift of gab, able to talk and relate to people. And that's what I think is the most important thing. Like, able to like look at a situation of people and not just go into a canned script. Like, try to relate whatever is going on at the table to what you're saying. So I think we all have all these tricks. I don't think it's hard to just alter it a little bit, presentationally speaking, to make it fit the audience better, right? And I think that's what makes it more memorable, because like now it feels more natural. Because if you can relate to whatever is going on in the moment, it's going to feel more organic, more impromptu, more in the moment, and it's going to be more relatable, and they're going to remember it. Where if you're all at a nice dinner and you try to go into this like crazy story that makes no sense, that doesn't relate to the moment, it feels so disjointed that that doesn't work as well, right? So I think that's probably the most important. Those are the two things. Sleight wise, I gave you the sleights, and then I think having the relatability is, at least for my style of magic. Obviously, I'm not the only way of doing things. Like a lot of magicians have different styles, but for me, in my style of casual magic, I think that's really the biggest thing. It's like having that relatability.
How can one learn that or hone that skill of being there with the spectators?
Yeah, I think I learned through doing it a lot. Agreeability is easy way to go, right? I think in the beginning with a group of people, you have to avoid, now this is just for my style, right? Obviously, you want to avoid that confrontational style or the easy joke. Because yeah, it might be funny and people are going to laugh, but that one person that you made the joke at the expense isn't going to like you as much, right? So I think in the beginning I'm never all making funny jokes or poking fun at people, but I rather just be exceptionally agreeable to whatever they're saying and go with the flow. And usually all the jokes are at me, right? And I usually set them up to make jokes that make them look great, right? I'll just say things that I know they're going to take the joke. They're just going to finish my line. I'll set them up. It's like I set them up and they take the punchline. And it's, to me, I love that moment when you can set up the joke and you're like, oh, that's a good one, sir. Right? I don't say that, but in my head, I'm like, now everyone's laughing, right? And they feel like great because, I made a funny joke. Yeah, I impressed my girl. Ha, they feel good. And yeah, because I'm never trying to like, if they're the alpha male, I'm not trying to like steal their thunder, right? I wanted them to feel happy. Now, granted, to keep control, that's the hard part, right? Is that there's a balance between being agreeable and let them walk all over you, right? I'm very loud, so that does help me because I can just talk louder than the person. That's usually a good technique. Being louder does help because, just like on stage with like these comedians and hecklers, like you're never going to win against a comedian. He has a freaking microphone. You're not going to win this battle. You can say something hilarious, but two people hear you. That you're not going to win this battle. So I don't know.
You've been creating magic for over 15 years. What are the things you learned about magic and creativity and yourself, magic-wise?
Yeah, how many years has it been? 15? Is it longer than that now? Yeah, I mean, we don't do the math. Like, what year are we in? 2025? 2000? You mean want to do the math? Yeah, you are right. Good math. I didn't even know the math. I was like, how long has it been since I've been releasing things? What was your question again? I was checking your math. What was your question? Sorry.
In those 15 years, what did you learn about magic and creativity and yourself, magic-wise?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I have changed a lot since the very first trick I released to like today. Like, unfortunately or fortunately, the style of magic I always put out, or it's just whatever I'm doing and whoever I'm performing for, right? Because ultimately, like creativity wise, like if I'm performing for a restaurant, a lot of my magic be geared towards restaurants, from on stage for stage stuff. But usually, I'm just socially performing with friends, so like everything fits that kind of vibe, right? Or for a while there, I was only going to magic conventions, so I was only performing for magicians. So then a lot of magic was very magician fully because that's just who I was around, right? So that's what it comes down to it for me. So, but creativity wise, I think that's the hardest part. I think people are always like, "How do you create magic?" I've heard this question before, and I've given the same answer because it really is the answer. I think I believe in is the whole that creativity is a muscle that you can flex and strengthen. So I think you have to just make a bad trick. Just make up a bad premise, make up a bad trick, make it as elaborate as you want. Because if you have glue and tape and string and flaps and that's fine. It's a trick. You came up with it, right? And then you go out and do it, right? Go out and do that trick exactly the way you came up with it. Because it probably will work, it probably fine. But force yourself to do it a lot, right? And then you're gonna get tired of resetting the flap. So you go, okay, how do I do this without a flap? And then you're gonna get tired of sticky tape because you're like, oh, it's from freaking, I don't know, I got tired of sticky tape. And then as slowly, you're gonna shed all the things that don't work for you. And then in that moment, you're gonna constantly replace it with new ideas and new approaches, or maybe you read about a new slide and you're gonna introduce that. And then you're gonna look back and you'll go, holy crap, I started with this, I end up with this. And that's the journey that's really is like a creative journey, right? And I think that's where I think people just got to not be afraid to start with the crap. Don't look at what is out there. Don't compare yourself to other people, right? I think what's the famous quote, like, don't compare your beginning to someone else's end, right? They've already done the journey. They already got there. So don't do that because your first thing's probably never gonna be better than someone else's, like who's been doing it for years. So like just quietly do it and then you'll be amazed. Like I feel like my little arc has been the same way. My very first trick is like cringed to me based on what I know today, but I'm glad I started there because you know it was some cool principles, and I still use them. I just use them differently now, right? So, and that's another thing too. Like it's the same idea, different use, but that use is just to me more creative. I found a better way of using it. But yeah, that's really it.
One of the projects you released is called Good Card Magic.
Ooh, yeah.
How does a good card trick look to you? What does it have to be good?
You know what's sad about the good card magic? I wanted to make that a big series, and I had a joke built into. I called it Good Card Magic. It's not the greatest title, but it was going to be a hilarious joke because Volume 2 was going to be 3 O's, Volume 3 would be 4 O's, and eventually I wanted to see how long I could go with the series because I wanted to be like, "Welcome to Good Card Magic." I wanted to have the, but unfortunately, it might unfortunately stop at one O. I always debated doing it the other way and just getting no O's. Like volume 1 was just GD. Welcome to G Card Magic, and then it'll be God Card Magic, and then finally Good Card Magic, and that would be the series. But I don't know. I debated it, but Unfortunately, I don't think there's gonna be more of those things. Sadly, just it wasn't well received. I thought it was good. I thought it was good, but I think downloads, at least right now, aren't a good thing. So what makes a trick good? That's a good question. That's a good question. Or is it a good question? I mean, that's subjective, obviously. It's very much a personal taste.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
I think
what does it look like to you?
to me, like to take it from like a Di Vernon type thinking is like it should be able to be explained simply. Like I think a good card trick is something that someone could repeat back to you and explain it to you very easily. Oh, the card was in my pocket. Oh, the card was behind the glass. Oh, he made my card fuse with this guy's card. Like it should have a nice, clean, repeated back to you in a nice, clean way. I think that's one criteria I really do like. Not all my tricks are in that realm. So I'm not, it's just, not, I don't think every trick is made for that audience. I think also it's just, for me, I think when a trick's ready is when, now this is more for me performing it, is when it feels satisfying to perform it. Because it usually means a lot of the beats and moments have been thought through, and you found all the moments where this is when you should do this. This is the move should be executed here. Because I feel like some people have tricks where like they need to do a pass or something like that, and they're kind of just like, oh now, and they don't have a good moment. Where when like there's some tricks of mine that I can literally just look at the card and put it down because I've built the routine so fluid and the misdirection is so built in that I can just do the most blatant move or just and then no one sees it. And I think that's when I feel a trick is like, oh, chef's kiss. When you can get to that point where everything just flows, that's when I think a good card trick is good. And then, so whatever the trick is, I think that's always the goal, right? You find all the right moments, all the right blocking. That's when it's good. But obviously, that just takes time, all right? It just takes time performing it. Usually, I don't know. I would say 30 times performing for different people is when you really start to find that stride. Because like all my tricks, all the good moments always come from just repetitive doing it, right? And eventually you'll just naturally do it. I think because you go into this autopilot after doing it so many times, you're going to find the moments. You're going to find the beats because it's just going to be natural and because you're going to do it naturally. So yeah, that to me, that told me it's a good trick. Good.
That's a great answer.
Well, thanks.
When I touched upon your releases, one of the most, I think, popular of yours is the False Anchors series and the consequent False Anchors book. False Anchors is a concept. Can you talk about that more?
Yeah. So I mean, the core of it is making someone's perception of reality. That's the whole idea of the false anchor is can you implant a thought in their head that makes whatever happened reality to that person? And that's really what a false anchor is. Like every trick, I think, can have one or two moments, one or two false anchor moments is what it is. That they anchor some belief or some truth. Really, it comes down to truth. They anchor some truth to something they saw. That's it. Well, because once they do that, there is no going back to solve it because it's just like they believe that's true and therefore that's it. And now they're done, right? So that's what a false anchor is. Now, that moment is different in every trick. Sometimes it's a move. Sometimes it could just be something you say or do, right? It doesn't matter what it is as long as there's something to anchor them. And that's what a false anchor is. And because I think it came about because people kept asking like Ryan, you have very fooling tricks. Why are they fooling? And then when I really thought about it, that was a term that I could best describe it was a false anchor, right? Anchoring false obviously meaning fake, right? You're anchoring them to something that's completely BS, right? And that's really what it came down to for me.
Can you give an example of what does a false anchor look like in practice? So you say it's about changing the spectator's perception of the trick. So what does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, an easy one, just because some are so subtle, it's hard to explain, but the easiest one to explain would be like they see a trick and they're like, I'm in, and I shuffle the deck. Right, like that's a false anchor, right? Because they didn't shuffle the deck. They didn't even touch the deck. But in their mind, they shuffled the deck, right? That's a false anchor, right? That's like a moment you're trying to like create. And that moment could be like they didn't cut the deck. He never touched the cards, right? Because like, yeah, I create a moment where it doesn't feel like I ever touch the cards, but I do. Of course I do. I'm a cheat, but I do. So like, but I want them to believe that, and that's what false anchors are. It's like when they adamantly say something that they never happened, but it did happen, right? And that's really what a false anchor is.
If we stay with the books, you've recently become a magic book publisher with the Midnight Sessions.
Oh, you have it. Oh, yeah. Midnight Sessions.
How do you publish a book, a collection of magic by an anonymous magician?
Yeah, that was a challenge because I don't know who the person is. So that is a challenge. So the book is real in the sense of like it truly is an anonymous person. I just gave it a fun story to like relive like how I felt because I was receiving tricks slowly. So I'm like experiencing these moments in time. And so that was like how I felt, like the cafe and meeting people and trying to figure things out. Like in that magician, like they really do that with the criteria. So you see the trick because every time I got a trick sent to me, it was here's the trick and here's conditions. So that's why all that is pretty much like it's all real. It's just obviously a little bit made up for the book in terms of making it more production value. But that really is how this person is. They just like really like that's an interesting way of approaching magic, right? So I want the book to capture like that how I felt kind of like experiencing that. So I mean, I want to do it more. It is time consuming, obviously. Books are hard to write and produce. And I want to do it more. I do have like, I don't know, like 5 other books that are potentially could be published right now if I had time, right? Because I talked to friends and other people and some big names, and then that want to do it, and they see me doing this stuff and they want to work with me. So it's just a matter about time. So if I can put one out like once a year, that could be a goal, right? But I'm taking a break now because of others are going on. So maybe next year, my goal is to have another one out, right? Another book out. Which one? I don't know yet. I got to figure that out. So I have options. I have options. So I gotta see which one kind of fits the mold right now. But it's cool. It's cool because once that release, a few more people have reached out to me wanting to work with me. So that was kind of cool. So which is nice. People like respect the work there because I did that. I did my unanchored book first, and that's when I realized because False Anchors I worked heavily with like Phil Shaw and all this stuff. Unanchored is like I did a lot more work. So Phil also did the layout, but then working with Solomon Vansting, who's a good friend of mine. He's kind of like teamed up with me, and now he is like he's the other part of False Anchors. So working with him, he can now like he did all the layout for that book, Midnight Sessions, and so we have the chops between me doing photos, him doing the layout. We can basically do everything in house now, right? And we obviously have our own publisher and everything now. So yeah, it works out good. Yeah, it was a tough one. It was a lot. Obviously, it's a fun passion project, right? I mean, I just enjoy doing it. That's why I do it, right? So
Both the unanchored books and the Midnight Sessions look absolutely amazing. How much work does it take to publish a book?
yeah, I mean, as far as the look, that's what motivates me to even make a book. Like I have to have that theme and that look first before I even interested in doing the book because it has to be like creatively like satisfying. Because if it's something for fun, it better be fun to do, right? So if it's like kind of a drag, I don't want to do it. So to obviously do it, I mean, like any other book, it's the writing and proofreading is one of the hardest parts because that's where I'm not a very good writer, and it's where I struggle the most. So that's to me like that's the pulling teeth Pete for me at least. The layout, that's the fun part, right? Coming up with the way it should look and feel, and you have like you want the book the feel, I want the paper weight to feel a certain weight, I want the ribbon, I want the image of the full bleed edge, edge to edge bleed pictures. Like I want to feel like very modern and crisp, right? So that's the fun part that I enjoy doing. And that book was fun too. I remember that book. We lay it out pretty generic at first, and then we go through and try to figure out, okay, let's do that one a little bit differently, that one a little bit differently. So that way, it's not like every photo has to be unique. It's just like you sprinkle them in to kind of give this like just to break up the flow of it a little bit, right? So how to do it? I mean, it's just time. It takes a while. That was probably, I mean, probably like 18 months, 19 months to get that one out. From
Wow.
like first to think about it to being out. So it took a while, but some of it's just a lot of dead time. Like you're just waiting on one thing and you're just waiting, might take 3 months to wait on one thing, and then 3 months to wait on. So sometimes it's just like dead time. You might have like three months of like hardcore work, and then it just spaces out because things are out of your control. Shipping and all that takes a while. Production takes a while. Yeah, it just takes time.
It's a fantastic book and great job there. Thank
Okay,
you for putting it out.
thank you. Yeah, it's a cool book. It's not. I don't. I think people who get it, it's not a book you need to do every trick exactly, but I think it's a book about just understanding cool principles, and I think it's really relies on you as a magician to go, okay, this is a really cool idea. How do I use it for my magic, right? I think the book is not trying to like give you a complete like this is how you should do the trick. It's more like here's a really cool idea. Now, how do you use it? Which I think is good. I think the magic world needs more of that. So that way you're not getting a bunch of just fully fledged. Here's the trick. Go perform it. Don't have anything original at all. I think people need to start putting a little more thought and effort into their magic. So I think that's a good book. Which does it just that. It also gets you thinking about methods. Like I love the how do I try to figure it out before you read the solution. I think that's cool too because I think it's so tempting just to see a trick and then read it. I think it's so much cooler to like think about how it could work because chances are like I've done this a million times. I'll read a trick. I'm like, okay, how does that work? And I'll come up with what I think is a better solution than the actual solution. But if I just read the solution, I'm probably never going to have the thought I had, right? Because there's so many times where I'm reading tricks, and sometimes I figure it out. I'm like, oh, that'd be a really cool way to do that trick. And then I figured out it is the same way they did it. I go, okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. But every once in a while, you're going to come up with a pretty cool idea that's different, and I think that's where it's fun. But if you're just spoon fed the solution, then you're never going to get there. You're never going to come up with those ideas.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love probably the most about magic books is the stuff that's not in there. It's reading between the lines and trying to figure out different kinds of stuff and little things, the subtleties
Yeah.
that make your gears going. And that's, I think, what makes you grow as a magician.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree with you. That really is. Just like magic, it's the subtleties that really make a trick fooling. I think it's those little things that make a good magician. Just those little tweaks.
If we go back from the midnight sessions back to false anchors, we have to talk about your playing cards.
Oh, yeah.
I think, in my opinion, the V3s and the workers are among the best marked decks out there.
Oh,
what's the story behind the cards? Because if people saw your cards like a few years ago, the V1s, the V2s looked completely different to the V3s, the workers, or even the Royal Edition you put out and the Midnight Edition for the sessions. So what's the story? What's the evolution of the cards?
Yeah, I think the story is the V1s were never intended to be... Sorry, I never intended to have a bunch of cards. It was supposed to be one deck. The V1s were it. That was all I was going to do. Because I think I was just buying a bunch of decks, and I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have my own deck. And then developed the V1 deck, and it was like, this is it. This is my deck. I'm done. I made a bunch of decks, and I sold a few of them, whatever. And then I had no intention to do another one. And then I think it was like right before the pandemic, like May 2019, a buddy of mine reached out, and he was like, hey, well, maybe he's a good designer. And he's like, hey, maybe you want to put another deck out. So I was like, yeah, how about we just play with some ideas? And that's how the V2 got created, was like working with him. It was beautiful. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, because like the V1 was, that first deck is so hard. Like right now it's to design a deck. It's like, well, how should it look? It was just so confusing. And the V1 made a lot of sense from like a minimalism standpoint, like false anchors, like the deck, it looks like a solid blue design, but if you look closely, it's a bunch of small anchors. And I think that's like it like symbolizes false anchors meaning kind of well. Like it's always a false truth. Like you think it's one thing, and when you look closely, it's something else, right? So the V2 was like a nice, like bicycle-ish deck, right? It was like, I grew up with red bikes. So I came out with this nice V2 deck. It had a very bicycle feel with the mermaids. And that deck is still gorgeous. It released during the pandemic, so I don't think it was really widely known. But I don't think the box isn't great either. I do want to one day redo that deck, update the tuck case, because I think the deck is beautiful. And then maybe obviously just change the color to a different color. Just because if you're on release, might as well change it. But I think the design is awesome. So then, and that was it. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done for real this time. No more decks. No more decks. I'm done. And then Solomon, out of nowhere, I don't know this kid. I mean, just a random dude at the time. He just texted me on Instagram. He's like, hey, got an idea for a deck. And I was like, what's that? And he sent me like this kind of like, the kind of the V3 design, like a very like early edition of it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It could be fun, like a different take on the V1, right? And then I was like, well, what if we could market? And that's where it all started, right? Because then he came up with his first idea, and then it just evolved. And then I was like, well, how about this? How about, I mean, just started back and forth, back and forth. Before you know it, we had the V3 green deck that was done, right? And I was like, oh, that looks pretty nice. And then I had this idea for like this bluish kind of like the V3 special edition. I wanted this like whitish looking blue deck. So that came about, and we kickstarted. I was like, I don't know how I got there. I went from never wanting to release a deck again to like, wow. And now all of a sudden, I think Kickstarter was more like, well, I'll let people decide. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, okay. Well, if it didn't fund, I would have been in. I'd probably just been dumb making decks. But it funded pretty well. It was like a pretty high goal, and I think it made like 35,000 or something like that, which is crazy because I don't know. I'm not that well known. So it caught on, and then I also made the white whale deck. That was a fun idea. The white whale was just a fun idea. So I love that thing. It was pretty. It was unique. It sold well. I think in this, whoever has the white whale gilded that's a rare deck. I'm surprised. One day I feel like that deck's gonna be like, it's probably the most rarest deck there is right now out there, because there's very few made of those things. I think I have one. I have one of them. That's all I have. That's all I have.
How many are there?
I think there was 50, maybe 50.
Wow.
So I feel like I gave like 10 to friends that opened them. So there's only 40 potentially unopened decks. And who knows who opened those. So it has to be 40 or less unopened decks of those decks out there. At least that's it. So very few of those decks out there. Yeah. Maybe there's only 25 actually. I don't know. Very few. Not money. 25 to 40, that's probably it that's out there. Um, Anyways, so then we did that, whatever, and then I don't know. And then you get the bug for the decks, and then like this idea came out for like the deep sea
Yep.
because I think we were just reaching. I reached out to this artist and I was like, hey, I like your style. It'd be kind of fun to make a deck, and he was like, sounds good, and we just did it, and I was like, okay, this is too easy. So we worked on that deck, and that deck was really cool because I don't think people appreciate it. Like it was legit. All his stuff was done on canvas, hand painted. And then we high quality scanned it into the computer, touched it all up, and that was a card. So like all this stuff, like all of this, I still have like I can get up and show you. Over there, I have one of the original paintings. I have like the Jack of Hearts. Like I guess I could show you guys. So like
Amazing. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, you should tune into our YouTube channel right now.
yeah, so there. So like this is like the
Wow.
original Jack of Hearts. This is it right here. It's right here, right? So that's just like yeah, the Swart and then there's the Swartz brothers, right? So yeah, it's like this is what every single card was. Even the number card and stuff, they're all just handmade. That's what's really cool about it. I don't know. So it's a fun deck. That deck was like not marked. It wasn't for magicians. It was supposed to be like a pretty just nautical deck, right? Just to have a nice nautical deck. And then that was kind of it. But then these traditional, then we did the workers and all of that. Because I was like, I'd be kind of cool because I love red. And I didn't have a red deck yet. So that's why workers came about. And I wanted a cheap deck that was like $60 brick. It's like a $5 deck. So that's what we did, the $60 brick, $5 deck. Pretty cheap. If you bought it from me, if you bought it directly from me, it was like that cheap. If you buy it online, it's obviously more. Yeah. And then now we haven't done this one yet. I mean, so now you obviously have the Royals, the Midnight, all those decks. All these are just for fun sometimes. Like the Midnights obviously fit the book, and then the Royals is because I just thought purple was pretty and I wanted it. So I did it.
Sounds like
So-
a lot of decks as you wanted just one.
I know. But now I had a thought for the marking of the V3 in worker deck. I like it, but I thought it could be better. So that's why I have a prototype right here, which looks similar. But what makes this different for people at home is, we'll see if I can show you this, the best way to show it on camera. Here we go. Is
Okay.
it passes the riffle test by failing the riffle test horribly, right? And I think that is a subtle difference because you've riffled the V3. People, no layperson does this, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen it happen in my life, right? But magicians do, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I see where it's marked." But this, I've done this in deck already. They go, "Oh, is it marked?" Oh, no, and they just stop. They just stop thinking because they see all the anchors moving. They don't know where to look, and they're just like, they just go, "Oh, it's just a design choice." And it's a very easy thing to think, "Oh, it's design choice." And so, like, I think this design already in the V3 is fooling because it doesn't feel like that's a marking system. It just feels like chaotic. And how is that marked? So people just already kind of don't think about that stuff. It's a very innocent marked deck.
Yeah, it is. And it's very easily readable from a distance.
Yeah, from a distance, that's what I like about it. Conveniently, is easy to read from a pretty far normal performing distance, right? It's not easy to read. So this one too, just for people at home, like I updated like all the things, like the red block indicators. It's so much easier to read. The one-way indicator is so much more practical now. But the big thing I added to this one is now you can read it from the edges. So if two cards, if I'm on the table and it's spread like this, you can read this card. Where normally you had to see the whole back design to really read it. Now with just the edge, you can know value in suit just from the edge of the card. So that's huge too. I think that's a big update as well. So because there's a lot of times where I'm just spreading the deck and I want to be able to find the card real fast, and it's like you can't do that from a spread, but now you can. Yeah. Anyways, and also it's not just marked in the top now; it's also marked at the bottom. So if you're dribbling the deck like this, normally you couldn't see the card because it's you're blocking it with the top deck. But now I can look at the back and also see. So it's marked in 3 different places now. 3 different places, so obviously we turn it 3 other places too, but 6 places in total. So I think I just thought through, as I use the deck more over the years, I kept thinking, oh, okay, how do I fix that? How do I fix this? What this situation? I just found other moments where I knew I could fix this. I could make this better. So yeah, that's where. So I think I'm excited to get it out there because I think it's a nice big update to me. It's a big positive update.
Is that green and yellow color scheme final?
I don't know. I mean, do you like this one? This is I call this the Erdonase colors because
Yeah.
this is very Erdonase in the because even the Jokers like are like traditional
Oh, that looks
like drawings of Erdonase. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Do you like that color? I don't know what color to make honestly. So if you like it, maybe I will. I don't know. So
It's a good combination. I would just do a little more contrast between the anchors and the background, but
yeah, you do that too. Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, it shows on here, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, even like a darker green or a darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine. I think this is the only one this is the only one in existence.
Oh.
It's also hard with these colors because this is NPC.
Yeah.
And their colors always are the same as what it will be. So I think this could be a darker green, honestly, but it just prints lighter because of them. But that's the hard part when you're trying to print with NPC. Their stuff is so different from what we do.
When can we look forward to those?
I think we're gonna kickstart it. I want to see if people are interested. I'm debating do I do the stock that I've been using lately, which is like or do I do like USPCC, right? I'm trying to figure out like the workers are just beautiful deck. They're nice, but obviously way more expensive, right? So or do I do because this the company everyone's using today that aren't USB are nice. They're good quality cards, but I think they're just a touch different, right? So it depends on how you like to feel it. So I'm debating that right now, like because it's a lot. There's a lot financially. It gets a challenge because there's always a hurdle. Because I would love to release this marking system in the worker deck, but that right there is a problem because the worker deck is so cheap that it's hard to like make enough to make it. It's hard to kickstart it. You always need to self-release it. So there's all these other things to think about when you're like trying to like actually not just lose money on it. You're trying to figure out how you can. I don't try to make money on cards. Honestly, I try to just break even. I don't really care if I make that much, but if I can just like break even, that's a goal for me. Because like I look at it as like I get cards for myself. I give them out. I give away cards freaking like crazy. Like most people who buy cards from me directly, they order one deck. I send them like 4 decks. I'm just like I'm weird when it comes to that stuff. Because I'm like, I have so many. I'm like, here you go. Take more decks, Or I feel guilty. I think one guy ordered one deck and I sent him a brick. Just like because I didn't mail it right away and I forgot about it. It was like 3 weeks later and I just felt guilty. So I was like, here's a brick. Good, enjoy it. So people, if I don't mail your package, you should be excited. You shouldn't be mad because you're gonna get more decks. Because I'm gonna feel so guilty. I'm gonna give you more decks. So if I mail it on time, you're probably just getting your order. So there's a trade-off there. So
people now ordering from your website are hope he forgets about it.
Yeah, you really do. You really want me to forget about it because every week I forget is another deck added to your order. So you're like, I gotta imagine a year goes by. I'll be like, oh shit. Okay, here's a whole gross. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I kind of want to do that one day. One day I want to just, I don't know, just give away just a whole gross. I think that'd be hilarious. They order one deck and I send them 144 decks. I'd be like, here you go. Just because. Why not?
Be careful. Somebody might get a heart attack from this.
I know. They'd be like, what the heck? That'd be amazing. I couldn't imagine their face. I couldn't imagine. So maybe one.
With the workers, I wanted to ask about one deck, the blue workers.
The blue workers? Oh, yeah.
What's the situation? You teased them, I think, almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know. They're still lingering around. They're still out there. I still got the uncut sheet right there. It's right there, uncut sheet right over there. They might happen. I don't. The problem is, this is the problem. The real problem is I'm not a blue deck fan. So it's hard to put them out when I personally don't love them. So like they're a nice deck, don't get me wrong. I just love the red workers. The red workers are so pretty because I grew up, I think in bicycle terms, you are a red or a blue bike person, right? Everyone had their favorite. I was red. If I had all the tricks that involve ripping cards or tearing cards, I use the blues for those decks. I use the blues. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I do want to. I think since this is more like personal collections, I happen to just sell. I have to personally really like the deck too. It's hard for me to make a deck that I'm like so on. Like I can't. Like the blue would be just for people that want blue, right? But I'm not Penguin Manager. I'm not Murphy's. I don't just have endless capital. Just be like, boom, 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 boom. That's why I thought a Kickstarter could be cool. because if I ever kickstarted it, I could say like I could make the blue a stretch goal, right? And say, here's the red or whatever color, pink or something like that. But here is the blue. If you really want it, you'll get the goal high enough. That way I leave it in your guys' hands. Like should this happen. So I might do this. I might do something like that. I'm kind of glad I waited anyways, because it wouldn't have the updated marking
Yeah.
system. So I'm kind of glad I waited, because now if it does happen, at least we'll have an updated system.
Do you have any sort of timeline for the new deck?
I think this year I might try to launch it, because I think this year is only because like I feel like I might try to do it. I think Penguin's doing this deck right now.
Yeah.
So I probably want enough time to go by. So maybe like later, maybe like late summer or something like that. Maybe try to do something. Because I think at that point it could be fun to do it. And like I said, if it fun's great. If it doesn't, oh well. I want it. I will hope it does fun, because I do want it. Because I do think this marketing system is freaking awesome. So I do want the system. I do think it's worth it just to have the new updated system, right?
100% agree.
But I think I'll leave it in the hands of the people. So if you want it, you got to do it. You got to be out of fun. You got to make this happen.
Yeah. Leave us a comment if you want this deck to happen.
Yes, please. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, color can be anything you want. I mean, I would love a pink deck. I want a pink deck. I have the new like False Casey's collab deck, which is nice. I love the pink box so much that I might redo it without his stuff on there, and just have the pink box with a nice UV printing, and then just change the back design to be, instead of flamingos, just be like a big anchor in the middle, where I just replace the stuff to make it more my theme. But I think I'll do that, because I really like that deck. I like the look of the pink and the blue. It looks really nice. So
you briefly showed it on camera. When this interview goes live, it will be past the Kickstarter campaign. Can you talk a bit more about the sunken anchors?
Sunken anchors, these guys?
Yeah.
I actually do have them on my desk conveniently, because I was actually playing with them yesterday. So yeah, this is just another collab. I was talking with Penguin, and then probably 3 years ago or so. I honestly forgot about the deck. I'm not gonna lie, kind of forgot about it, because like we're working on it. It was done, and then I get it. They're a big company. Things just get shifted, priorities shift, whatever. I really don't. It doesn't bother me. I'm never in a rush to release anything. So, but when the timing was right, I said, "Hey, you guys, just let me know. Just let me know." Because I worked with the artist. I thought the design was fun. It takes on like my design of decks, but in a different cute theme. I love, because mine are very like minimalistic, very like straight angles. So I thought that working with the artist to make this like a sunken anchor, and have the anchor like actually be like a floating anchor in the water. I thought that was a really clever idea. It looked really nice. And then the deck itself is just a standard deck. There's no markings, which is nice. I actually realized I miss having a standard unmarked deck, because there's nothing to hide. I give it to friends. I don't have to worry about them. I don't know. It's nice. Like I have the deep seas, I have these, and it's nice to have two decks that just aren't like, they do come with like a gaff card. It comes with like it comes with a pencil dotted seven of hearts, and it comes with a mispipped card, which is for one of my most favorite tricks in the world. Where here it is. It comes with a mispipped two of clubs, eight of hearts, which is my favorite two-card transpo in the world. It's using that mispip card. So so like out of the box, you get some cool tricks, and I think it comes with like a download where you actually can learn the tricks and stuff. So I was up at Penguin headquarters not too long ago this year, and then I filmed the stuff for the deck. So yeah, it's listed on Kickstarter right now. You guys can go get it. It's already funded, which is great. So it's definitely coming. So now it's just about getting it. So that's it. That's it. It's a pretty deck. I'm really happy to have it. It really feels good in the hand. I know you can't feel it, but nice paper tuck case, I really like the paper tuck cases. I've been a big fan of those. And it feels nice.
Apart from those, you did the Midnight Sessions, a collab. You've done the Sunken Anchors, a collab. Is there anything new coming from you soon, except from the new False Anchors?
The new mark, but well, hopefully my new deck. I mean, really, my new deck's probably the biggest thing. Eventually, False Anchor 6 has to happen. I have to have the final book. It's the last one, so we'll see when that happens. I got obsessed with a new hobby, so it's been taking a lot of my time up. That's not Magic, so I just haven't finished the book. So I'll have to get back to it one of these days, where I actually go back and finish it. But so False Anchor 6 sometime. sometime in the future, you know. And also I've been working on those other books with other friends and stuff that those could come out. So, but yeah, I mean, having this deck out would be nice. That's probably my big goal. If I can make that happen, it'll be kind of cool. So
Amazing. I'll keep my fingers crossed for this deck because it looks amazing, and that's just over the camera.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, Ryan. It was a great talk. I had a great time speaking with you because it's even through the camera and the computer, your excitement and love for Magic is flowing. So it was a really nice opportunity
Well,
to speak
appreciate
with
it.
you.
Hopefully it was coherent enough that someone gained a little bit of insight.
Yeah, I think so. I think they
Cool.
definitely did.
Cool. Well, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Have a great time and see you soon, hopefully.
Yeah, see you here. Take care. Bye. See you, everyone. Have a good day.